Hello everyone, my name is Raymond. About my final exam assignment, I choose the topic discussed in week 13. In my presentation, I will discuss the topic of gender stereotypes. I will begin with an introduction to the cited papers. In week 13's reading, Gonzalez's study explored the effects of gender stereotypes on young girls' intuitive number sense. In this study, Gonzalez found many girls between age of 3 and 6 and randomly assigned them to two groups. One group received an intervention related to gender stereotypes and the other don't. He found that gender stereotypes negatively impact young girls' intuitive number sense. Among the girls who received the gender stereotypes intervention, they were likely to perform relatively poorly in math, showing lower intuitive number sense. In Ann Baby's article, he discussed girls of different age groups and backgrounds. He conducted an experiment with girls from lower elementary school, upper elementary school, and middle school. The experiment found that when participants were reminded of identities associated with stereotypes, their math performance was negatively affected. But there was one exception to this experiment. Because of negocentrism, students in upper elementary school did not get the effects of stereotypes. Based on this topic, I searched for three papers. The first one is Suwarno's Indonesia Students' Attitude and Interest in STEM. The purpose of this study is to understand Indonesia students' attitude and interest in STEM fields and to explore the impacts of gender stereotypes on them. The study used a questionnaire to collect data on Indonesia secondary school students' attitude and interest in STEM. The study found that female students in Indonesia secondary schools may have relatively low interest in certain STEM fields, which may be due to social stereotypes about females in STEM fields. By looking up this paper, I learned that the effects of gender stereotypes exist not only in math but in many natural science fields. Second paper is gender compatibility, math gender stereotypes, and self-concepts in math and physics. They also found that being influenced by gender stereotypes, students' perception of their own abilities and interests in math and physics may develop certain bias. They designed questionnaires for high school students to provide data on their gender compatibility, math gender stereotypes, and self-concepts. The study found that female students were more likely to identify math and physics as compatible with their gender, while the opposite was true for male students. The last paper I chose was Hofer's, studying gender bias in physics grading. The study used a large-scale dataset of physics test scores and related information from multiple countries. After investigating physics grades and teaching methods in different secondary schools in different countries, Hofer concluded that female students may be underestimated because of their gender, resulting in them receiving lower scores on physics exams. After reading the two papers provided by the course, I found that they only looked at the effects of gender stereotypes in math, and for the full range of STEM, there was not one conclusion confirmed that gender stereotypes affect women in all areas of STEM. The STEM, what I talk about is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So I would like to take this as a research question. Does gender stereotypes affect women in all STEM fields? Certainly, after I have read much of the relevant paper, I can make a hypothesis that gender stereotypes lead to females' poor development in STEM fields. The way I want to conduct my research is, first, I wish to borrow Gonzalez's research methodology. I will select a middle school that has just enrolled new students and have the teachers in half of the new classes mention something about the gender stereotypes to the female students. This is an experimental group. In the other half of the new classes, I will prohibit their teachers from mentioning any gender stereotypes to the female students as a control group. The results will be obtained by comparing grades in all science subjects like math, physics, biology, and chemistry. After that, I would like to borrow Suano's questionnaire method. Also in this school, I will distribute the same interest questionnaire to the experimental group and the control group to collect their interest in pursuing STEM-related jobs in the future. After that, I will randomly sample the results so that the results can be representative of a larger population. If my hypothesis is correct, the girls in experimental groups will score less in science than the girls in the control group, and the questionnaires submitted by the girls in the experimental group will demonstrate a more negative attitude towards STEM-related work. This means that gender stereotypes can really affect girls in STEM fields, both in terms of grades and the future job options. That same as Hofer mentions in his study, female students may be underestimated because of their gender, causing them to receive lower scores on physics exams. For the influence, if my hypothesis is correct, we can make more understanding of gender stereotypes and better prevent the use of gender stereotypes in education. For example, we can publish a series of regulations to prevent teachers from implying gender stereotypes in the teaching process. This may help to eliminate gender stereotypes at its root. Or we could focus more on training female students in STEM fields and do our best to break down gender stereotypes. Only by paying attention to children's gender stereotypes in education can we better guide children's growth. And we can also raise the importance of gender equality education to build a more equal society. That is all of my final exam. Thank you for listening.